Let's get you news from the Supreme Court now. The Apex Court has stayed the execution of 8 death row convicts for a month. Their mercy petitions were rejected by President Pranab Mukherjee earlier this week. The Convicts Council had filed petitions challenging the rejection of their mercy plea. During the hearing, the bench said it wanted to ascertain whether proper communication had been sent to their relatives. The Apex Court said it didn't want a repetition of mistake that happened in Afzal Guru case. The petitioners had apprehended that they would be executed following the rejection of their mercy plea. The Supreme Court bench said, and I quote them now, "It should not happen as it happened in the Jammu and Kashmir case. The intimation of the execution reached the relatives of the person after his hanging. That is bad. The relatives lost an opportunity to meet the condemned person for one last time before his execution." In fact, there are at least 10 petitions pending before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will be hearing this matter after 4 weeks now. Let's go across to our chief legal correspondent Ashok Bagadia. Ashok, the two main reasons why the Supreme Court admitted this petition is because it felt there has been an inordinate delay, and secondly, it wants to be completely sure whether the family has been informed or not.
Well, actually, yes, that is one of the reasons, but the main reason being that there is already a petition which is pending in the Supreme Court which is yet to adjudicate on the fact whether an inordinate delay on the part of the President in deciding the mercy plea can result in an automatic commuting of the death penalty into life sentences. And besides this, there was also an urgency which was made out by senior advocate Colin Gonsalves before the judges of the Supreme Court, saying that if the death sentences are not stayed, they might get executed. So these were primarily two grounds on which the Supreme Court felt that the reason to stay the executions.
Ashok, there are at least 10 such petitions pending before the Supreme Court, and whatever the ruling might be will have an effect on how the President and also the Home Ministry decides such cases in future.
Well, there has been a delay. In the last decade or so, we have seen that there have been almost 20 to 25 cases in which there has been a delay of more than a decade in deciding the death penalties. Now, for this, who is to be blamed, whether it's the Union Home Ministry or the President's House itself, that is a debate which can go on later. But the real crux of the matter seems to be to decide the point of law, whether a delay on the part of the executive in deciding the mercy plea can result in commuting the death penalty. In fact, during the course of the arguments, advocates have tried to impress on the Supreme Court that the death row convicts die many deaths before actually they are executed. And in fact, this is one of the grounds they say that on humanitarian consideration, the death penalty should be stayed or rather commuted to life sentences.
Right. Thanks, Ashok Bagadia, for getting us that important piece of news. Ashok, they are telling us that the main ground for all defense counsels is that there has been an inordinate delay, and that's why these convicts should get some relief.